I can smell the magic of Christmas in the air, and I have the perfect recipe to share with you. It is my ultimate white chocolate and cranberry Christmas wreath. It's edible, it's delicious, and when you bake it off in the oven, you have a Christmas wreath to be proud of. So to make this up, we need a lovely sweet bread dough. And for that, we're gonna start off with some butter in a saucepan. So you wanna melt the butter down, and once it's nicely melted, we're gonna add in the milk. We're now going to add some fast action yeast straight into this flour and give it all a good mix through. Give it a nice pinch of salt just to add a little bit of contrast between saltiness and sweetness, especially in a sweet bread dough like this. Give that a good mix through, and then once you have it mixed through, make a well with a wooden spoon just like this one, and now it's time to pour in that lukewarm milk and butter mixture. So straight into the center. So I'm adding 2 teaspoons of cardamom just for a nice hit of spice. You could add cinnamon if you like, but we're going with cardamom. So start by taking that wet mixture and slowly incorporating the flour in, so you're getting your wet and dry evenly combined. This is looking pretty good. We've got kind of rough, bready dough crumbs. So at this point, it's time to tumble this straight out onto your work surface. Don't be put off if it looks like this, because what we're gonna do now is put a bit of work and a bit of muscle in there to try and bring this together into a nice dough that's lovely, smooth and elastic. So you're gonna need this for about 6 to 8 minutes. Okay, once you have a nice smooth dough that springs back when you press down on it, this is good to go. So this is gonna rise for about 45 minutes covered in a nice warm spot. So I'm gonna transfer that over here. I do have one which is risen and looking beautiful, but we're not going to get to that right now. We need to talk about the filling first. So for our filling, I have some softened butter, which I'm gonna add some sugar to. So it's just a case of beating up your butter and your sugar until it's nice and smooth. Okay, this is looking good. I'm gonna get rid of my paddles, and now it is time to spread this across our dough. So tap off any excess. This is also gonna get hit with some great flavor from the zest of one orange. So take up a grater just like this one and grab up all that great flavor. That is all the orange zest I need. So grab up a spatula, give this a good stir through, and make sure you get all that orange zest nicely incorporated in there. Now we have our filling. We have got to get filling. So we have got this dough which has risen up, and you'll see that it'll have doubled in size. And if it doesn't double in size, you may have run into problems with overheating your yeast, and sometimes that kills it. Otherwise, you should be left with something that looks like this. So the best job in the kitchen is punching down the dough. Oh, instant satisfaction. So just scoop up that dough, and it might have stuck to the sides, but don't worry too much about it. Tumble it out. We're now gonna just give it a little bit of work just to bring it together, and it should be nice and smooth, just like this one. And now it's a case of kind of getting it into a sort of a rough rectangle shape, and then using a rolling pin to roll this out completely. You'll notice that I'm not using flour here, and you don't need to dust it too much. If it does stick, you can, but remember there's quite a lot of fat in there, there's butter, so that will kind of create a non-stick environment for your dough to be rolled out. So we're looking for a nice thin rectangle, about 1 centimeter in thickness, and you want it to basically, I don't know, size-wise, it's probably about 2 arms, like that. You want it that size. Let's go. Don't be afraid to just shape it out the way you need it to be, because at this point now, it's thin enough. It's exactly the sort of thickness we're after. So grab up that filling, and it's just a case of dolloping this straight in the center, spread it out. This is good to go. We are going to sprinkle over some white chocolate. I've just lightly chopped it up. Pat that down, give it a nice press into that dough, and then we're gonna grab up a handful of berries. You don't want too much cranberries here because they're quite thick. Right, cranberries on. This is where you get your hands involved and just press them straight in to that dough. You do need to give them a good press down, because otherwise when you start rolling them, they're gonna go all over the place. So give them a good press down. There is a bit of squelching and popping action, but don't be put off, they're just cranberries. And now, once they are pressed down like this, you're gonna grab up the dough from one side and start pressing it over just like this. And just keep going with your dough until you have it all nicely rolled up. We have our all nice and beautifully rolled up, so just extend it out a little bit, and once you have a nice even look on your dough. This is exactly the way we need it to be. We're gonna roll it over on its seam side, which is basically that side right there. Roll it over on that side. Spread it out, grab up a knife, and you're gonna very carefully slice the whole way down and expose all those beautiful layers. So here we go. And look at that. Beautiful layers of cranberries, orange zest, white chocolate, all the things you want from your beautiful Christmas wreath. So just spread each side away from the other. And once you have 2 big snakes worth of filling, you're gonna bring them together here, seal them up with a nice squishing action, and then you gotta go slowly but surely winding one around the other. So take your time with this. This is all about making it look beautiful. Okay, seal it at the end here, and now it is just a case of bringing it together like this. So just slowly bring it together, and then wrap one under the other, seal it on one side, and you have your beautiful Christmas wreath. This now goes to rest for about 35 minutes until it's risen again, and then it's ready for the oven. So let's get it onto a baking tray. So just scoop it up very gently. You can reshape it once you get it up onto your baking sheet, so don't be too worried about it. Cover this with cling film. It's gonna rise for about 35 minutes, just until it's doubled in size, and then it's ready for the oven. My wreath has been resting. It is now ready to go into the oven, but before it goes in, we have to brush it with a little beaten egg, and this will give it a lovely golden finish. And now to sprinkle it with a tiny bit of brown sugar, just to give it that nice crust on the top. This now goes into the oven to bake off at 180 degrees Celsius, that's 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's gonna bake off for about 30 minutes, but keep an eye on it. What you're looking for is that it's risen and it has a nice cooked interior. It comes out of the oven, and this is what you are left with, this epic looking Christmas wreath. And now we have to try some while it's still nice and warm. So take a nice big slice out of it. I hate to ruin it, but it is Christmas and you gotta get in there and try some. And I want to get some of that white chocolate, all that cranberry, and look at that. This is a beautiful sweetbread to serve around Christmas time. I'm going to dive in. That is just phenomenal. It's sweet, but also those cranberries are quite sour, so you get that contrast between the sweetness of the white chocolate, the sourness of the cranberries, and then there's this warm freshness coming from the orange zest that's through that mixture. It is so good, and you get this really lovely crust as well. This is a sweet cake that is worth trying, and I hope you'll give it a go. It's perfect for Christmas time. You will wow your guests if you make it. If you want the recipe, you can check it out in the box below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for lots more delicious recipes just like this one. Leave us a comment in the box below letting us know what you're doing this Christmas. And until then, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas to you and your whole family. See you soon. And at this point, it looks a little bit like baby vomit, so don't be put off. Probably can't use that.